Welcome back to the lab. It's day 5. I've been wrestling with this feeling that getting clear before I prompted AI just feels slow. It feels like this unnecessary roadblock when all I want to do is get moving. So I decided, you know what? Let's put that feeling to the test. Einstein was famous for this, right? Valuing the problem way more than the solution. But does that old school wisdom really hold up in a world of instant AI where an answer, any answer, is literally seconds away? It's a question worth asking. So, here was my hypothesis. I set up a really simple experiment, just 2 different paths, to see if this old wisdom still has a place against the sheer speed of today's tech. Okay, let's get into it. Path number 1 was the path of least resistance, a quick, vague prompt. You know the kind I'm talking about, the one you write when you just want to get anything back from the machine right now. And it felt so fast at first. 30 seconds and I was off and running. But that feeling was completely deceptive. 18 minutes and 4 frustrating rounds of tweaks later, all I had to show for it was a pretty mediocre result and a mind that was just completely drained. This right here is a textbook example of what Cal Newport calls shallow work. It looks like you're making progress because you're busy, but really you're just putting out little fires, and the hidden costs are huge. You're burning through mental energy, frustration is building, and you're suffering from what Roy Baumeister called decision fatigue. Every little tweak is another decision that just chips away at your ability to focus. Alright, so for path number 2, I did the complete opposite. I actually forced myself to stop, to slow down, and get crystal clear before I even thought about writing a prompt. I spent a solid 20 minutes up front, just with pen and paper, defining exactly what I needed. What was the real goal here? What were the absolute non-negotiables? And maybe most importantly, how would I even know if I got a good result? It's that process Greg McKeown really champions in his book Essentialism. You do the hard thinking first. And I'm not gonna lie, it felt uncomfortable. It was like that old story about Abraham Lincoln spending hours sharpening his axe when the tree is sitting right there, just waiting. But I kept this old Navy SEAL principle in my head. Slow as smooth, smooth as fast. Now check this out, because this is where it gets really interesting. Yeah, the clear path took longer on the clock, 25 minutes total versus 18, but it gave me a high-quality, totally usable result on the very first try. And here's the kicker. It preserved my mental energy. The vague path was a frantic sprint that left me wiped out. The clear path was a steady march that got me exactly where I needed to go. So, if the data shows the clear path is just better, why do we instinctively avoid it? Why does that vague, fast path feel so much more natural to us? Well, the answer is pretty deep. It's actually in how our brains are wired. Daniel Kahneman's groundbreaking work in Thinking Fast and Slow just nails this. Our brain defaults to what he calls System 1. It's fast, it's automatic, it's our autopilot. It always seeks the path of least resistance. Firing off a vague prompt? That's pure System 1. But real clarity? That requires us to engage the deliberate, energy-hungry System 2. And our brain is basically built to avoid that hard work whenever possible. And it gets worse. We're also fighting against these powerful cognitive biases. There's something called present bias, which makes the immediate gratification of just starting feel way more valuable than the delayed reward of a better result later. And then there's the planning fallacy, which tricks us into thinking that the quick and messy path won't take nearly as long as it always does. That feeling, that powerful gut feeling that we're saving time by jumping right in, Kahneman has a name for that. It's a cognitive illusion. It's a systematic error where our intuition is just plain fooling us. My little experiment proved it. The vague path felt faster, but the data showed it absolutely wasn't. And man, this just perfectly illustrates what the physicist Richard Feynman was talking about. Vague prompts are, at the end of the day, a way of fooling ourselves into thinking we're making progress when all we're really doing is spinning our wheels and burning through our cognitive fuel. So all of this leads to a really crucial mental shift we have to make. We have to start reframing what that work of getting clear actually is. It is not a tax on our time. It's a strategic investment in our energy and our output. There's a fantastic concept from software engineering called technical debt, coined by Martin Fowler. It's when you take a lazy shortcut now that you know you're going to have to pay back later with interest. A vague prompt isn't a time saver. You're just taking on a bunch of clarity debt. It's Stephen Covey's timeless advice, right? Sharpen the saw. That upfront clarity work, that's what this is. Preparing the tool is part of the job, and it makes every single swing you take afterwards way more effective. And this internal battle we have against vagueness, it isn't just a personal quirk, and it's not just about AI. It plugs into a much bigger, broader trend in our work culture. Our tendency to value looking busy over actually producing results. Some people call it productivity theater. A 2023 survey from Connext found something pretty incredible. 2/3 of workers, 66%, admit to performing tasks just to appear busy to their coworkers and their bosses. And you can see why this happens. That same survey found that only about 23% of us report being evaluated on clear, actual outcomes. Most people are judged on inputs, on looking busy. And let's be honest, the vague, iterative path of tweaking and retweaking looks a lot more like work than sitting quietly for 20 minutes to just think. So after this whole one-day experiment, where does that leave me? What's the verdict? Well, the results are pretty unambiguous. The clear path won on quality, and it won big on preserving my mental energy. The vague path only won on that cognitive illusion of being faster. As Shane Parrish says, it's simple. You can't solve a problem you don't actually understand. Okay, so my next step is to track this for a full week and get more data, but I want to invite you to run your own little experiment. Just try it once. The next time you have to tackle something complex, time yourself doing it the vague way versus the clear way. See for yourself what that great mirror shows you. And that's it for day 5 here at the lab. Tomorrow, we're going to dig into what I think is a really fundamental shift in how we should be talking to these new tools. We're going to move from asking, how do I use it better, to asking, how do I think clearer with it? I'll see you then.